Peletens, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. We never thought that we would live to see a day like this in our lifetime, because these people have made it clear to us that they are the ones that controls the world. They are too united and love themselves, and there is no way they can ever depart from each other. So, Africa is their prey. They will always be on Africa because they both need Africa to survive. When it comes to policies, they unite and do it. Anything that has to do with Africa, they come together. But finally, they are fighting. The war between Europe and the United States of America is at a point of no return. These two people are bent on going to any length. According to the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, that they don't want to be in a world of bully people. You understand? Now everybody is referring to this man as a bully. And that this is the time for them to move away from whatever and join BRICS. Because when you come to trade with them, with threats, without respect, with bullying people, forcing people to do your wish against them, trying to take things forcefully, giving yourself power and making sure that international law and everything doesn't work, then it means that we are finally going to be in a world of chaos. And this is not acceptable, because we need a new force in order to fight against this one that has risen to claim the world. That how can we have a leader in this 21st century who's supposed to be defending democracy, invading other people?
But we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. We have a place where rule of law and predictability is still the rule of the game. And my guess is that it is largely underpriced by the market. Having a place like Europe, which sometimes is too slow, for sure, and needs to be reformed, for sure, but which is predictable, loyal, and where you know that the rule of the game is just the rule of law, it's a good place. And here in the epicenter of this continent, we do believe that we need more growth, we need more stability in this world, but we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. You're welcome in Europe, and you are more than welcome to France.
The European Union supports Denmark and the people of Greenland, and we do so united in our resolve. The measures threatened over the weekend by the United States administration will not help improve security in the Arctic. In fact, they risk the opposite. Greenland and Denmark have both made clear that Greenland is not for sale and that their sovereignty and territorial integrity needs to be respected. That fact will not change.
Veva, of course, Europe's under pressure from two sides. Russia, but also we have Donald Trump arriving tomorrow, demanding Greenland part of a European Union country.
I noticed.
Yeah. So the question, people keep asking me in the corridors, do you think Europe will stay united? A lot of people saying, you know, Europe's going to fold in the end. That's what they do. Europe won't be able to push back. How confident are you that Europe can, as von der Leyen said, stay united, proportional, and respond?
It's a very good question, actually. I wonder about this myself. We're under a lot of pressure. We're 27 countries. And if you're under pressure, two things can happen. If you have outside pressure, you can come together or you can explode in any possible direction. And I think Europe is at a crossroads where it has to decide. Until now, we tried to appease the new president in the White House. We were very lenient, also with the tariffs. We were lenient, hoping to get his support for the Ukraine war. We are in a very bad position at the moment. We're dependent on the United States, so we chose to be lenient. But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect, Being a happy vassal is one thing, being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity. And that's probably the most precious thing you can have in a democracy, it's your dignity. So we should unite, and we should say to Donald Trump, I'm going to meet him tomorrow. The meeting was fixed before the Greenland issue. So
Looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward. The king will accompany me on the... I'm looking at the queen who's sitting in the front row. Our king will accompany me at the meeting, but it will have a different character than we had planned. It will probably be the message that we have to send. You're crossing red lines here. We either stand together or we will stand divided. And if we are divided, there is the end of an era of 80 years of Atlantism is really drawing to a close. And, you know, as Gramsci said, if the old is dying and the new is not yet born, you live in a time of monsters. Yeah. And it's up to him to decide if he wants to be a monster, yes or no.
President Trump is acting like an international gangster, threatening to trample over the sovereignty of an ally, threatening the end of NATO altogether, and now threatening to hit our country and 7 European allies with outrageous, damaging tariffs unless he gets his hands on Greenland. This is an incredibly grave moment for the United Kingdom, Europe and our world. Without provocation or justification, the President of the United States is attacking our economy, our livelihoods and our national security. Trump has put British businesses and jobs on the front line in his unprovoked aggression. The only people cheering him on are Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Only a few months ago, Trump hailed the special relationship at Windsor Castle. Now, thanks to his actions, it is nearly in tatters. So how do we stop Trump's damaging trade war? For a year now, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Prime Minister has tried a policy of appeasing Trump, flattering him, fawning over him, refusing to stand up to him, because, he argued, otherwise Trump would hit us with damaging tariffs. Well, the Prime Minister has tested his approach to destruction. It has failed. It is time for the government to change course. We have to finally be clear-eyed about the sort of man Trump is and treat him accordingly. He is a bully. He thinks he can grab whatever he wants, using force if necessary. And he is corrupt. The most corrupt president the United States has ever seen. So there are only two ways of getting him to back down: bribing him with a new jet perhaps, or a few billion in his crypto account, or standing up to him like we would with any other bully, standing together with our European allies to make him back down. That's the choice. Which one, Foreign Secretary?
Denmark is a close ally of the United Kingdom and of the United States, a proud NATO member that has stood shoulder to shoulder with us, including at real human cost in recent decades. Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure. Such measures hurt British workers, British businesses, and the British economy. And that is why I've been so clear on this issue.
And it's a time of peace, stability, and predictability. So let's try to address the key challenge of this world in a few minutes' time. But it's clear that we are reaching a time of instability, of imbalances, both from the security and defense point of view and the economic point of view. Look at the situation where we are. I mean, a shift towards autocracy against democracy, more violence, more than 60 wars in 2024, an absolute record, even if I understood a few of them were fixed. And conflict has become normalized, hybrid, expanding into new domains, space, digital, information, cyber, trade, and so on. It's as well a shift towards a world without rules, where international law is trampled underfoot, and where the only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing. Obviously, the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which will enter into its 4th year next month, and conflicts continue in the Middle East and across Africa. This is as well a shift towards a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies. And when we look at the situation, it's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have. Without collective governance, cooperation gives way to relentless competition. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable, even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty. And competition from China, where massive excess capacities or distortive practices threaten to overwhelm entire industrial and commercial sectors. Export control has become more dangerous new tools, destabilizing global trade and the international system. And the answer, in order to fix this issue, is more cooperation and building new approaches. And it's clearly building more economic sovereignty and strategic economy, especially for the Europeans, which is for me the core answer. In this context, I want to exclude 2 approaches. The first approach would be to, I would say, to passively accept the law of the strongest, leading to vassalization and bloc politics. I think accepting a sort of new colonial approach doesn't make sense. And all the head of state and government and business leaders, which would be too complacent with such an approach, will take a huge responsibility. The second will be to adopt a purely moral posture, limiting ourselves to commentary. That path would condemn us to marginalization and powerlessness. Faced with the brutalization of the world, France and Europe must defend an effective multilateralism because it serves our interests and those of all who refuse to submit to the rule of force. And for me, the 2 answers are, on one side, more sovereignty and more autonomy for the Europeans. On the other side, an efficient multilateralism to deliver results through cooperation. Obviously, France and Europe are attached to national sovereignty and independence, to the United Nations and to its charter. And it's not an old-fashioned way to live multilateralism. It's just not to totally forget what we learned from the Second World War and remain committed to cooperation. And this is also because of those principles that we have decided to join the mutual exercise in Greenland without threatening anyone, but just supporting an ally and another European country, Denmark. Facing this order and this new situation, this year France holds the G7 presidency with a clear ambition: to restore the G7 as a forum for frank dialogue among major economies and for collective and cooperative solutions. Trade wars, protectionist escalation, races towards overproduction will only produce losers. This is why addressing global economic imbalances is our key priority. And if we look at the situation, the current imbalances are due to some key phenomena, and we all have to deliver our own agenda. This includes American overconsumption, Chinese underconsumption and overinvestment, and European underinvestment and lack of competitiveness. And these imbalances are also reflected in development gaps, by the way, and we can no longer settle for aid that neither delivers sufficient results nor enables countries to escape poverty. So our objective through the G7 is to demonstrate that the world's major powers are still capable of reaching a shared diagnosis of the global economy and committing to concrete actions.
When it was Venezuela, these are the same people who were so excited. I am so excited that Trump is shifting his attention to Europe. Because when it happened to Venezuela, they all were saying, we are monitoring the situation, we are that. But finally, Donald Trump realized that what happened in Venezuela is good. So for that matter, he needs to extend it. And now he extended it to Europe. When he now got to Europe, Europeans have seen that the path, the one who is constructing the road, didn't do it well. He curved instead of it to straighten. He needed not to touch their home. If it were to be Africa or any other place, we'll see European Union coming out openly to tell the world what Trump is doing is the best. But now that it is Europe, it's against the world. There is also another leader in UK Parliament who also condemned, called this man names. So now European leaders can now find the right adjectives to describe Donald Trump, which is very amazing. It's beautiful. And they are bent on fighting for their own right. But these are the people who are telling us in Africa that we do not have any right. They have every right. They have every right to come into Africa to take the resources. Like France, Emmanuel Macron, who is busy, angry, talking against the United States of America, Donald Trump, is the same person who is in Africa telling us that we can own our resources. The resources belong to France, and it's what they want that must be done. We are also seeing the same thing happening in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The same things that they are accusing Donald Trump of. Have you seen how it is? Because now it is touching them. They are seeing the fire. And now they say they need to move towards Russia. Because Russia is not bullying people. They are allowing people to dine together, to be at the table as equal partners. But Trump is doing otherwise. It's the same thing you are doing to us in Africa. You don't see us to be equal partners. Europe hasn't done anything meaningful in Africa. Rather than taking every blessed day, forcing your colonies to continue to save their money in France, forcing them to use the CFA franc, making sure that you impose your wish on us in Africa. But now that Trump is trying to capture or take Greenland, that one you are all united. You need to fight against it. Europeans are seeing that it is hateful. This is the same pain the African is feeling. And you keep on doing your things in Africa that is making Africa not to move forward. We do not have a say when it comes to our resources. You try to make sure that you put in systems that will cripple the African and will continue to be under your mercy, even though we have the resources and you are rather depending on us for survival. Now, what Trump is doing is against international law. But what Europe has been doing in Africa, is it not also against international law? To the point that France even sued Niger over its own uranium, calling Niger a thief. Like, this world is amazing. He's trying to say that this time, with what Trump is doing, it means that the strongest can go to anywhere and claim anything. This is another colonization that is starting. But I just hope that African leaders are not watching, but they are learning and restructuring as to how to unite. Because what is happening, Trump is bent on stopping at nothing. After Europe, if it did not work out, people are thinking that Panama, his next target will be there, or Africa. Because Africa, he is eyeing Nigeria, and that was why he claimed that there is Christian genocide. And our brothers and sisters who are still ignorant bought into the idea, and we have people who were praising Trump for coming into Africa, invading our airspace to come and test his equipment he has manufactured, all in the name of saving Christians, ever since Trump came into Nigeria on the 25th of December and did that. The Boko Haram, the ISIS, the kidnapping, and everything, has it stopped? At the end of the day, we are seeing that the President Tinubu is rather going to beg Trump not to come and test these things again, because the ones that he did already, they are saying that it's causing havoc in Nigeria. And there was no single ISIS or whatever that was arrested. So it is us now in Africa to stop being puppets. At least let's prove to the world we are also humans like them. Besides, the resources here must be used to benefit us in Africa. They are for Africans and not any other person. Europe that is even united, see how things are. How much more you Africans? Our leaders must stop doing the talking, because we are running out of time. AES, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are the only people that are ready for the war. The rest of us in the democratic elected, sometimes when you see the things that our parliamentarians even sit in parliament and discuss, you just know that you don't have a future. When the world is busy at something, our parliamentarians are sitting in parliament discussing things that are not necessary. We need to wake up. The world is not waiting for us, and the world is at war. It is now the survivor of the fittest. Will we continue to be slaves forever? Will we fight for our sovereignty and for our survival? Like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, it's either we unite now and fight them, or we continue to remain slaves forever. Because what Trump has started isn't going to stop at Greenland. Now Europeans are coming together strongly to fight. What if he decides to come to Africa? Will you be ready to unite against him? We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Europe,